y'all? It's your girl Nessa and I'm back with another We're back with another episode of Word to Nessa. Okay, last time I dropped a podcast episode, it was almost 2 years ago with two of my friends, Freddie and Mashari. Shout out to them. But it's been a long time coming. Honestly, a lot has changed. We're not gonna get too deep into detail because I do a whole separate video on what's been going on in my life. Today we're coming in hot with a really good topic and a very personal topic to myself, especially in this current moment that I'm in. Today the topic is outgrowing old versions of yourself. I've outgrown so many different versions of myself these past few years. This is the perfect topic to reintroduce myself. And I'm not going anywhere this time. So a few talking points that we're gonna hit today is that growth doesn't always feel exciting. It can really be scary, I'm not gonna lie, especially when you're accustomed to living a certain lifestyle, being around the same people, being around the environment. It can be very scary and it can be uncomfortable, especially when everybody else and everything around you is very stagnant and very still and very in the same lane still. It can be very painful, especially when it comes down to leaving people behind, leaving the way you talk behind, leaving certain habits behind, leaving certain memories behind. Growth can be pretty uncomfortable and scary sometimes. And when you grow, truly grow, you don't come back the same person you left as. Now, if you're dibbling and dabbling into who you used to be, into who you're becoming now, babe, that's not growth. You're actually backsliding, you're backtracking. Now we're gonna talk about what it means to truly outgrow versions of yourself. Now, this can get pretty deep. That includes letting go of identities, mindsets, habits that once fit in your life. For me personally, I've always been a pretty confident girl growing up, especially in high school. I knew exactly who I was in high school. I didn't have any confidence issues. I wasn't really easily influenced by others. But after high school was when I went through a complete identity crisis. I was in a relationship when I finished high school. I was in a relationship from 17 years old to 20, and I completely lost all sight of who I was. In high school, I was very artistic. All I did was paint, draw. I was just always doing something. Poetry, my creative flow was just never ending. After high school, I just got so involved in being a girlfriend and being in that relationship and trying to make it work and this and that. And then also trying to become an adult. I was spending so much time in a relationship. I didn't even have enough time to really learn myself and do the things that I liked. I went through a crisis, y'all. But in order for me to grow from that, I needed to let go of who I was in high school. I had to literally let high school Janessa die. When I push myself to change, it's when I'm going through something heartbreaking or mentally draining. That's when I'm okay, I need to change. And that really sucks because it shouldn't take for something traumatic to happen for you to want to change. Change is not always a bad thing. And change doesn't always mean letting things go. It can also be adding new things, adding new people into your life. Whenever you're outgrowing something, never look at it as a loss. Always look at it as an opportunity to elevate. It's never loss, it's always elevation. Outgrowing doesn't always mean rejection. It means evolution. Human beings, we are more than just bodies. We are more than just a vessel. We are literally mind, body, spirit. So if your body is growing, babe, your mind is growing. Your spirit is growing. Your passions are growing. And you choosing to be uncomfortable instead of choosing change is literally hindering your growth. It's hindering your evolution. Growth can be internal before it's visible. So it's not always going to be a huge, big change. The first step to changing is accepting that you want to change. A mindset thing. Outgrowing myself didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly. Very slowly. So here are some signs that you are in a season of growth. One is feeling disconnected from old routines. Pretty self-explanatory. I had a routine where I was work, friends, smoking, drinking club. Work, friends, smoking, drinking club. The one thing I didn't mention was the after effects, the depression that I felt after, the anxiety that I felt after, the sadness that I felt after. the very dark mental thoughts that I struggled with after. I just ignored it because I wanted to stay comfortable in my routine. Eventually, I started to feel disconnected. Eventually, I didn't want to do it anymore. Eventually, I didn't want to hang out with those friends anymore. Eventually, I didn't want to work at that job anymore. Eventually, I didn't want to go to the club. I didn't want to smoke. I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to have sex. Those things started to feel unappealing to me. That was a sign for me that I was in a season of growth. Sign number 2 that you're in a season of growth is you choose peace over chaos. People that I was friends with and in relationships with that were not healthy at all, that were toxic, that were chaotic, draining, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally draining. I had friends that drained me dry. And then it got to a point where I just wanted peace. I didn't want the chaos anymore. I didn't want to deal with friends draining me like that. I wanted to be around people that elevated me and energized me. You choose not to even talk back an argument, not to even react to certain people, react to certain things. Y'all, let me tell y'all, this past year I have been tested, and I had to literally zip it up and choose peace over indulging in the chaos, because that's something I never want to be a part of. At the end of the day, you cannot control other people's actions, but what you can control are your own. And you can choose not to react and add more fuel to the fire, add more chaos to what's already chaos. When you choose peace over chaos, that's another sign that you are in a season of growth. The third one is becoming more selective with your time and energy. And there was just certain environments I no longer wanted to give my energy to, wanted to give my time to. I wanted to prioritize my growth over hanging out with certain people. One thing I will always say, quote me on this, is every interaction is a transaction. So you could be giving somebody energy, and whether or not they're giving you the good energy back that you're giving them, it's still a transaction. You ever had a homegirl that just called you just to vent about all the negativity in her life? Yeah. It got to a point where I stopped answering those calls. I became more selective of my time and energies. That is the third sign that you are in a season of growth. Now, the last sign for me that you are in a season of growth, when you start to question things you once used to accept. To this day, I question things that I used to accept. Sometimes I'll just be driving in the car and I just randomly start to think of something in my past. I'm like, yo, I really accepted that. Like, I really allowed that to slide. When you're sitting here and you're questioning the things that you used to accept, that's a very big siren, a very big sign that you are in a season of growth. So before we get into the next point, just a gentle reminder that feeling lost can be a part of feeling clarity. Not everybody watching this is a believer in God, but I am. So what I will say is, in a season where you feel lost and unsure, go seek the Lord. Seek him, and he will favor you enough, and he loves you enough that he will give you the clarity that you need. Number 4, we're going to talk about letting go without feeling guilt. But that includes releasing people, habits, expectations. I fall in love with the potential that I see in people and that I see in things and see in opportunities. So like, for example, I didn't let go of a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships because I saw the potential in them loving me the way that I love them, and them respecting me in the way that I respect them. And unfortunately, potential isn't reality, okay? I felt like there was a point in my life where I let certain people get too comfortable with coming in and out of my life. When I made the decision to let those people go, I almost felt like I was giving up on them, if that makes sense. Part of me started to feel like, damn, am I neglecting these people? This is gonna lead into the next tip. You don't owe access to people that only know your past. The time where they were friends that I had that I would smoke with, drink with, go to the club with, that are not part of this season of my life. That version of myself is the last version that they've experienced of me, And that's okay. And there are going to be people that are going to label you as your past, and you have to have enough authority and enough respect for yourself to not allow yourself to be labeled and to not allow those people to have access to you. Point blank, period. Whether it's a friend, it's a lover, it's a partner, it's a family member, it doesn't matter. There are going to be people that try to remind you of your past and label you who you used to be to keep you from evolving, to keep you from elevating. Especially when you've been friends with people that don't have their own identities. Yeah, that just kind of eat off of your identity. Whenever you're growing and your growth is uncomfortable for them, they are going to remind you as much as possible of who you used to be, and you have to have enough respect for yourself to walk out of those friendships, walk out of those relationships, and lock the door shut. That kind of leads into this next one. Growth can feel lonely, and that's okay. At this point in my life, I hang out with friends like maybe once a month, if even that. The season of growth is very lonely for me, and that is okay. Like, it's lonely in that aspect, but at the same time, I truly do feel closer than ever to God. Like, I really feel him manifesting in my life and him showing me where I need to go, like him leading me and leading me to the correct friendships and to the correct relationships. Sometimes things need to fall apart in your life and things need to disintegrate and people need to sway away and disappear in order for the new to come in order for you to step in to who you need to become in this next level, in this next stage of your life. So here's just a little reflection prompt for you guys that are still here. I want to challenge you to write in your journal. You can write it in a journal or even question yourself, write it in your notes. What are you holding on to because it's familiar but not aligned? Ask yourself this. Who is it that I'm hanging on to? What habit am I hanging on to? What memory am I hanging on to? What heartbreak am I hanging on to? You have to identify where the leech is coming from. You need to identify where the poison is being inserted. That way you can patch it up and elevate. For example, if you are on a path where you don't want to smoke or drink anymore, but all of your friends around you smoke and drink, you should probably take a break from those friends. Not saying cut them off. Take a step back and figure out how you can hang around them, or if you could even hang around them without being tempted. Want to practice celibacy? Stop hanging around the friends that only talk about sex. You have to stop hanging around lustful people if you want to be less lustful. So the things that are not aligned with your life, you're holding on to, that is what you need to cut off. So now we're going to talk about stepping into the new version of yourself. First things first, growth does not require perfection. Like, the first time of you doing something, you're not going to be perfect at it. Point blank, period. That's why they say practice makes perfect. Like, babe, you're not going to just wake up and be this gym rat. You know what I mean? You're not going to wake up and just be this healthy eater. Whatever it is that you want to be, you're not going to just wake up and be that. You have to practice that position. You have to literally practice becoming that person. It's not going to be perfect. Small choices create big shifts. Like, I'm somebody that I honestly struggle with like ADHD. So I literally like jump from one thing to another. I want to start this and then I want to start this and I want to do this and I want to do that. Like, I'm somebody that is constantly wanting to evolve. And what I struggle with is not sticking to the plan. I feel like I need to do something big in order for it to count, in order for it to matter. In reality, the small changes create the big shifts. Last thing on this point is trusting the process without clarity. Not everything is going to be clear off the rip. You have to trust the process. You're not going to see results in your change and in your actions right away. In some cases you will, but in most cases you won't. It's the consistency and the process that builds the change, that builds the evolution. A tree didn't just go from being a seed to a tree overnight. Like, it goes from being a seed to a seedling. It sprouts. It grows its roots from the bottom internally where you don't see the roots underground. Does it mean that it's not growing? No. It just means it's internal. So that goes back to what I was saying earlier. You're not always going to see the change right away. It's not always an external thing when it comes to change. It can be internal as well. When you cut yourself short because it's not what you expected, you're hindering your growth. Here's an affirmation to tell yourself. I am allowed to evolve at my own pace. Do not compare your growth to other people's growth. Do not compare where you're at, your stance in your life, to somebody else's life. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Comparison is a thief of joy. We're not comparing ourselves. We're not comparing our bodies. We're not comparing our finances, our careers, our journeys, point blank period. We're not comparing our lives, point blank period, to other people, because you don't know what they're going through behind closed doors. Like I said earlier, sometimes growth, you cannot even see it externally, it's internally. And that goes to say, sometimes you may see something that appears as growth, evolution, advancement, and in reality, internally, it is not. It's dead. Okay? So just keep that in mind next time you try to compare yourself to somebody else. Okay? It's not always what it seems. That was my last point. Now we're going to get into a segment I like to call necessity check. You see what I did? Necessity check. Okay, so basically in this segment, I went on my Instagram and I asked you guys to give me a few questions on this topic. And now I'm just gonna go in and answer them. So the first question I got was, how do you let go automatically? I fear I struggle with holding on to people. Girl, you cannot let go automatically. Some things are just so intense that it's not something that you can just let go of. I am in a completely different place than I was when I went through what I went through in my past, but that doesn't mean that I'm not hurting from it still. Some relationships were just too intense. Some heartbreak was just too intense. Some backstabbing was just too intense to get over it overnight. Do not put a time limit or a time frame on your healing. Healing is a journey. It's a process. There's so many highs and lows, ups and downs. It's literally elevator going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. There are still things that I am still healing from a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 10 years later. Like, I'm still grieving a lot of things in my life because I just didn't process them correctly and because they were just too intense. Let go of what could have been if the hurt didn't happen. Accept that the hurt happened. Accept that the wrong happened, that the bad happened. Don't dwell in it, but accept that it happened. Accept the good in that relationship and the bad in that relationship. You genuinely miss that person, or you are genuinely still hurt of that person and you still love that person, allow yourself to feel that. Don't dibble and dabble back into that. That's not what I'm saying. Don't backtrack into those toxic relationships, into those people that hurt you, into those relationships that hurt you. But accept what you went through. Like, you have to process that love that you felt for that person. You have to process the pain that you felt from that person. Like, it's all a part of the healing journey. When you learn to accept that you were created to love, you won't beat yourself up for loving somebody who didn't love you back. So yeah, I would say you don't let go automatically. It is a journey. Just take it day by day, point blank, period. Next question was there a moment when you realized you had outgrown a version of yourself? Yes, absolutely. I used to put other people's mental health before myself, other people's emotions before myself. Like, I was struggling with depression and like thoughts for years, and yet I would in an instant drop what I was doing to go console somebody else, go listen to somebody else's problem. The way that I know that I've evolved is this time around, I am not being accessible to anybody around me. Like, I am not. Will I be there if somebody needs me? 100%. But if it's stopping me from taking care of myself first, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm just not doing it. Like, now, like, I'm really choosing myself in everything that I do. It's a completely different ballgame. Another question was, what growing pain surprised you the most? I would say, like, finding beauty in heartbreak. That probably was one of the most painful things I've had to encounter. One of the most, because I've encountered plenty. Like, I'm somebody that, like, I have to hate you in order to, like, let you go. And I'm no longer that person. Like, now I truly find beauty in the fact that I was able to love people that didn't love me the correct way. Like, I was able to still be genuine with people that weren't genuine towards me. And that in itself is painful. but I can find beauty in the fact that I still was able to give my most authentic self, the purest love that I could possibly give to that person, although they didn't give it to me. And I got another question, and it said, what does love mean to you? So this is a whole completely other topic. I can make another episode just surrounding love, period. But this question, okay, what does love mean to you? Love means, I would say, like, love is just pure. I think in order to truly love somebody and to feel love is to know God. So there were times where I thought I loved somebody, and there were times where I thought somebody loved me, and I didn't even know the depth of love at that time until I met God and realized how deep somebody could love me. Like, nobody could love me like God. And I think that would be my answer. Love is God to me. How do you know when it's time to let go of an old version of yourself? I would say when you're becoming too stagnant, when you're not seeing any growth, when you're just kind of like the same, you're just too comfortable. And then you're also forcing yourself to do things that you used to enjoy that you no longer enjoy. It's definitely a sign where you should let go of this version of yourself and just, evolve into the next version. And it's okay. Part of the human experience is evolving. You're constantly changing, and that's okay. How do you deal with people who don't understand your change? Okay, this one is good. Honestly, you just don't. You don't have to explain anything to anybody. Like, I hope you know that. Use your free will to literally not explain anything. What if I missed who I used to be? Okay, this is definitely something I struggle with. I have so many different versions of myself, not even just physically, but like emotionally, mentally. Like, there's just so many different versions of myself that I do miss. I do. But what makes me feel good is knowing, like, okay, although I'm no longer that version of myself, it's still me. It's still somebody who I was. You know what I mean? And I can still love that person. And I like to express that love through taking care of who I am now, watering my roots now. Last question is, how do you grow without feeling like you're abandoning parts of yourself? Now, you are abandoning parts of yourself whenever you are growing, because in order to evolve, there has to be change, and change does involve letting go sometimes, but you have to know that it's not always a loss. Like I said earlier, evolving is for the better. It's for the next step. Like, point blank period. You cannot evolve if you're not willing to let things go that are hindering you from evolving into that next person, That was it for my necessity check segment. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now I have one last segment before we close this video called Love to the Streets. It's basically where I shout out a small business owner, an entrepreneur, whatever it is from my city, from my town, from my state. Just give them a shout out. So today I'm actually gonna shout out my photographer, Darion X Photo. If you go on my Instagram and you see a fire pic, just know it came from Darion. Go book your shoots with Darion now. This is your time to go book it right now. He's super professional. He creates such a safe space for models like myself. I always get a lot of questions on how I started modeling. Guys, he was my first photographer, believe it or not. So go ahead and tap in. Excuse the different angle, guys. My camera died, so I'm recording on my phone. This is the end of my podcast episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I love you. And you might as well leave a like and comment down below. But I do want to thank you guys for encouraging me during this journey and for coming back for my return. Like, I thank you guys in advance for the support. I do want to encourage you guys to journal, maybe take notes on this podcast episode. Journaling is something that has helped me overcome a lot of things. Prayer, but if prayer isn't your thing, journaling definitely should be your thing. Reflect everything we've spoken on in this episode in your journal, on your notes, whatever that is to you, whatever that looks like to you. One thing I want to leave you guys with before this video is over: if you're outgrowing who you used to be, trust that something aligning is making room to enter. And this is the end of Word to Nessa episode 2. Stay tuned because you guys will be seeing more of me. And if you feel like you can come on this podcast and have a great deep convo with me, please DM me. I'd love to connect with you. I love to collab. Yeah, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, lioness.j, my TikTok, Kayla Janessa. Bye, guys. Love you guys so much. Love you.